Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. On today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a short pant pattern. I'm going to be using this white pattern paper to show you. As you can see, I've already drawn my outseam line and my waistline. So for this pattern, I want my short to be 16 inches, but I'm going to remove 1.5 inches for the waistband. So I'm marking 14.5 inches as the length of this pattern. So I'm going to mark 14.5 inches. I'm going to connect the point I just made to form a straight line. After that, I'm going to mark the hip line. My hip line measurement is 8 inches, but I'm going to remove 1.5 inches for the waistband, which means I'll have 6.5. So I'm going to mark 6.5 just like this. I'll mark it again here, and I'll connect the points to make a straight line too. After that, I'm going to mark my crotch line. My crotch measurement is 9.5 minus 1.5 inches. I have 7.5, so I'm going to mark 7.5. So I already told you how to take your crotch measurement in my other videos, but on this one you can divide your hip measurement by 4, and whatever you have you mark as your crotch line. That's another method to get your crotch measurement. So I'm going to add this, make this into a straight line. Next, I'm going to mark my tie line. This is optional, you don't really need it, so it's not very important, but you can do it if you want. So my tie line is 3 inches from the crotch line, so I'm just marking 3 inches and I'm going to connect it into a straight line like I did the other ones. After that, I'm going to go ahead and label the lines. I have the waistline, the hip line, crotch line, tie line, and the full length. So on the hip line, I'm going to mark my hip measurement divided by 4. That's a quarter of my hip measurement. I'm going to mark it on the hip line, the crotch line, and on the waist line. And I'm going to connect the points I just made with a straight ruler, just like this. After that, I'm going to measure the measurement I just marked now from the measurement I have on my crotch line. I'm going to divide it by 4, and whatever I have, I'm going to insert the measurement on my crotch line, just like this. So what I did was I divided the measurement I have on my crotch line there into 4, and then I marked it on this crotch line, just like this. So on that point, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches upward. What we are trying to do is to get the crotch of the pant. So after marking that, I'm going to connect it with my curved ruler. So this becomes the crotch of the pant. So next, I'm going to get the middle of the line I just made. So I took the entire measurement I just marked on the crotch line, and I divided it into 2 by folding my measuring tape in 2. So I'm going to place half of that measurement on the center of the pattern, just like this, to get the middle of the pants. So I marked it on the waistline, the crotch line, the hip line, the tie line, and the hem line, and I'm going to connect the points into a straight line. So this becomes the center of our pants. This will enable us to shape out the opening of the pants properly. So I'm just connecting this straight like this. So after that, I'm going to mark a quarter of my waist measurement, and I'm going to add 1 inch for the dart, like this, and I'm going to connect that line to the hip line. I'm connecting from that waist line to the hip line, just like this. So now we have our waist measurement. So next, I'm going to mark the dart. So the dart of this pant is supposed to be 4 inches, but we are removing 1.5 inches for the dart for the waistband. So what we have is 2.5, and I'm marking half an inch on each side to make up the 1 inch we added for the dart. So I'm just going to connect the points I just made to get the dart, just like this. Okay, so after that I'm going to get the tie measurements. My tie is 22 inches, divided by 2 is 11, so I'm going to mark 5.5 on each side of the part of the trouser pattern, like this. So I marked 5.5 on the other side, and I also marked on this other side. So I'm going to draw it straight down to the full length of the pants, just like this. It's very easy. So I just marked my tie measurement and I'm dragging it down like this. So the pattern is almost complete. So what I want to do now is to add my seam allowance. On the hemline, I'm going to add 1 inch hem allowance, like this. Okay, and all around the pattern I'm going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance. So at the hemline, like this, we are not going to take it down straight, we are going to curve it a little, just like I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm also doing the same to the other side. So we curve it like this. If you do it like this way, you won't be short of fabric when you cut it on your main fabric. If you cut it straight, you'll be short of fabric. So I have added 1/2 inch seam allowance all around the pattern. Okay, so next thing I want to do is to mark the zipper fly of this pattern. So from that line, that inner line, you are going to measure 2 inches. Okay, so I'm marking 2 inches from the inner line, not the seam allowance line, the inner line, and I'm going to connect that point straight to the hip line, just like this. So this is just it about the zipper fly. Is very easy. So I'm just going to mark this straight to the seam allowance, just like this. So this is it about the zipper fly. It's very easy to make. So next, in case you want to add pockets to your pants, this is how you do it. On the inner line, you're going to measure 6 inches downwards and you mark it. And on the waistline, you're going to go in by 2.5 inches. So you are going to connect the points you just made together to get the pocket. So that is what I'm just doing. Okay, so this becomes your pocket. So the front panel of this trouser is ready. So next I'm going to cut it out. So note that we are not cutting through the pocket because we are going to use this pattern to cut the back, and you know the back doesn't have pocket, so we are not cutting through the pocket yet. So we are going to leave it like this. So this is it after cutting. I'm just going to label the pattern accordingly. This is the front, and we are going to cut 2 of this part, just like this. So next I'm going to trace out I'm going to trace out this pattern for the back of this pant. So as you can see here, I have traced out the front panel, and we are going to use this to cut out the back panel of the short pant. So this is the front without any seam allowance. So next we are going to get the crotch of the back panel of this pant. So on the front crotch line, you are going to measure 2 inches outward like this. And on that 2 inches you made, you are going to mark 1/2 inch downwards, just like this. Okay, and on the waistline, you are going to find the middle of that center from the crotch, that straight line to the center. What I have here is 4 inches, so the middle is 2 inches, but I'm just folding my measuring tape to show you that you can just fold yours to get the middle of your line. So I'm just marking the 2 inches I have here, and on that point I'm going to come out by 1.5 inches. Depending on how curvy you are, you can use 2 inches. Alright, so after that, the next thing I want to do is on that crotch line, where we came out by 1.5 for the front panel, we are going to mark 2 inches. That same point where we came out by 1.5 for the front, we'll mark 2 inches here for the back. So next we are going to take our curved ruler, and I'm going to connect the points I just made to get the back crotch of this short pant. So I'm going to stop just there, and I'm going to use my straight ruler to finish up the line to that 1.5 inches we extended on the waistline. So this line becomes the back crotch of our short pant. So now we are going to get the waist for the back. So whatever we have on the front waist, we are going to measure it, and on that line we extended, we are going to insert the measurement. Okay, so I'm just marking the exact back front measurement there, and I'm going to extend the back waistline, and I'm in a slant manner. I'm going to curve the waist measurement to meet the point I made for the back waistline, just like this. Okay, so on the front panel, we are going to measure whatever we have from that crotch line to the center line, and we are going to mark it on the back waistline. What I'm trying to do is to get the dart for the back panel. So the dart is 5 inches long, but because we are removing 1.5 inches for the waistband, we are going to measure 3.3 inches for the dart length. I mean 3.5 inches for the dart length. So we are still going to measure that 4 inches we have on the side, and we're going to mark it because the back dart is not supposed to be straight, it's supposed to be slanting. So after making the points, I'm going to connect it like this, and I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on each side of the line I just made to get the dart. So like I was explaining, the back dart is not supposed to be straight, it's supposed to be perpendicular to the crotch line, just like this. It's supposed to be slanty and not straight, as you can see right here on the pattern. Okay, so after marking this, I am going to drag the crotch line down to the full length. You can use your free hand, or if you have a curved ruler, you can use it. So I'm just using my curved ruler to mark the crotch measurement down to the hemline of the trouser. So after that, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch extra for the back. So you know the back needs more room. If you're a curvy person, you can add 1 inch, but I'm just adding 1/2 inch for mine to create more room for the back of this pattern. So after this is done, I'm going to add my 1 inch hem allowance, and I'm going to connect this with my straight ruler. And the same way I carved out the sides of that front panel is the same thing I'm going to do for this back panel. But now I'm going to go ahead and add my 1/2 inch seam allowance all around the pattern, just like we did for the front panel. Okay, so I'm just adding 1/2 inch seam allowance. So remember not to drag the sides down like this, just curve it out to give you extra room for your hem so you don't fall short of fabric. So after adding the allowance, this is what I have. The next thing I want to do is to cut this out. And don't cut through the extra you added for the hem. So now I'm going to label this as the back, and then I'm going to write that we are cutting 2 of this. So this is the pattern ready. We have the front and we have the back. So next I'm going to remove the pockets on the front panel, and that is it, as you can see. And I'm going to label the zipper fly accordingly. So these are the patterns. I have a tutorial where I showed how to cut a waistband. I'm going to link that video in the description so you check it out. So this is our complete pattern. We have the front and the back, and then we also have the waistband of this panel. So if you have learned anything from this video, please give this video a huge thumbs up, and if you are not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification so you get notified each time I post any video. Thank you so much for watching this video.